David Spada is a successful attorney whose dream was to become a sports talk show host. Elliott Harris is a Chicago sports columnist who wanted to expand his media presence. In the next hour, they combine their talents and love of sports and women by interviewing former professional athletes and lovely ladies on sports and torts. But keeping the boys out of trouble isn't always easy, because when David and Elliott are together, they have more fun than should be legal.
A lot going on in the world of sports today, Elliott.
Every day.
I heard Twitter went down. Was it all the Sandusky tweeting?
I don't know. I thought it was me. You know, I tried to send out a tweet about the show that we're going to have today, and got that one out, I think. And then tried to do another one, and boom.
I don't know what's causing it. It can't be the Clemens perjury trial, because that's been over for a couple of days.
That one, so. And he was not guilty, which is not to be confused with innocent, right?
No.
Speaking as the legal expert in the studio, you can...
they failed to prove their case.
Right.
The feds. Can you imagine that?
It happens.
But this Sandusky thing's getting really interesting here.
It'll be curious to see why there wasn't a change of venue. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, but you're going, gee, you got the world of Joe Paterno and all Penn State football and institutions that are holier than religious organizations involved, and you're going to try this case in the heart of that arena.
It's Happy Valley. They're all happy there.
I don't know how happy some of those people are. You got some unhappy folks too. But today we're going to make people happy, hopefully.
With one Hall of Famer and one who should be a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
Maury Wills. I was looking so forward to this interview, and we talked to him last week. He was absolutely incredible. I think he's ready to steal another base or two. He could teach a lot of guys now how to run the bases. But let's get right to our first guest, Maury Wills.
On the phone, we have seven-time All-Star, former Los Angeles Dodger, Pittsburgh Pirate, and Montreal Expo. He was a three-time World Series champ, a two-time Gold Glove winner. He was the MVP in 1962 of not only the National League, but also the All-Star Game. We have on Maury Wills. How you doing, Mr. Wills?
I'm doing fine, David. I enjoyed your intro there. And, it really, after all these years, it really kind of, I squirmed a little bit when I heard you say Pittsburgh Pirate and Montreal Expo. Because I've been a Dodger since I was about 8 years old. And I got traded away, and it really hurt. And every time I think about it, I cringe a little. But that's okay. Let's go on.
Yeah. Well, I think when most people think of you, they do think of you as a Dodger.
As a Dodger, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a long story behind how I got traded over to Pittsburgh and then caught into the, 1968 or 69, 1969 expansion. And went to Montreal, and then I finally got back to the Dodgers. That was the greatest moment of my career, going back to Los Angeles.
Now, how did you originally sign with the Dodgers?
I grew up in Washington, D.C., David, on the playgrounds, and loved baseball. When I was 15, I was playing with semi-pro ball, they call it, grown men, older, hardcore guys on the playgrounds in Washington, D.C., sandlots. And there was an ad in the local Washington, D.C. newspaper, the Washington Daily News, that there was a tryout camp at Griffith Stadium where the old Washington Senators, who are now the Minnesota Twins, played. And all the major league teams were going to be there, and the kids between the ages of 17 and 19 come in, bring your gloves and your spikes and try out. And these older guys gathered me up and took me up there. And doggone it, I got signed. Isn't that something?
And then in 1960, you hit .295, and you led the league with 50 stolen bases. And I didn't realize that no stealing bases up until that time, because previous to that was 1951 when Max Carey stole 51. What caused all of a sudden the increase in stolen bases in the 60s?
Well, you see, as I mentioned, I was playing with those older guys on called themselves semi-pro on the sandlots, and we played a version of Negro League baseball, which was running the bases. running the bases and stealing the bases. It wasn't home run hitting. The only person I can think of in those old Negro leagues that hit the ball hard was Josh Gibson, the catcher. Other than that, it was line drives, ground ball, base hits, base running, base stealing, good pitching. And I learned the game that way through these older men. And so when I got signed as a young 17-year-old right out of high school and went into organized baseball with the Dodgers, I took that brand of baseball with me. And so throughout my minor league career, I stole bases. Now, I didn't get to do it on a national scene where it'd be noticed until I got to the big leagues. And when I got to Los Angeles, my first year, 1959, when I came up on June 6th, I wasn't too strong a hitter, and I was hitting as eighth just in front of the pitcher. Well, that position is not conducive to base stealing. I get on base, I just have to stand there. Well, the next season, 1960, they put me in the leadoff spot, and I got to do my thing. That's how it happened. Changed the game.
Was there anybody that helped you with that base stealing knowledge, or is it just something inside of you?
Well, I developed the ability, the desire on playing on the playgrounds and playing with these older men. But when I got to the Dodgers in spring training, there's a man named Al Campanis. Al Campanis taught me everything I knew. I learned about baseball, running the bases, stealing bases. And he was not a base stealer. He was a big man. And by fielding and then the good, solid thinking that goes into being a good player. And you remember the name Al Campanis?
I remember the name well. He had a little controversy later in life.
Yeah, I felt bad about that because I want to go on record as saying none of that was accurate. Al Campanis was a fine man. He did not have one mean bone or in his body or any he didn't have any qualms about race, color, creed, or whatever. And yet he was depicted that way, and that killed him. And he died prematurely.
Back in '62, when you were the MVP, your teammate Tommy Davis had pretty good stats that year. I'm surprised that he didn't get the MVP. Or was it basically because you were the leadoff man and you basically started everything?
Yeah, he's surprised too. Even today when I see Tommy, he brings that up. Not only Tommy, Willie Mays hit 58 home runs that year. Every time I see Willie Mays, he reminds me that he should have had the MVP award that year. And I tell them both, hey, guys, you got to get over it. It's been too long now.
Well, they have some pretty good accomplishments and some pretty nice trophies of their own, so I don't think they should be too jealous.
I would think so. Why would they want to take my little MVP trophy from me?
Tommy told us a couple of weeks ago when we interviewed him that you had a race with Willie Davis to see who was faster.
Yeah. And what did he say?
I don't remember who he said won the race.
I think
he
said Willie Davis.
Tommy's got a version different than mine. And Tommy was also in the race. And he wants to claim that he tied me or he beat me. And Tommy was a big fellow too, but he could run.
Yeah.
No, I beat them both. Now, I'm sure if we were able to speak with Willie, Willie's passed on now to the other side, and then I think Willie might say that he won the race. You could have put a blanket over all of us. That's how close it was. But so my claim is that I won the race. Willie was the fastest of all of us. But you see, it's like the saying, the fastest does not always, the race does not always, the winner does not always go to the swiftest or the fastest or the swift or whatever, how that goes. Willie is faster than Tommy. Willie's faster than me. But I beat them on the startitude.
Which time did you end studying pitchers?
All my life. I knew pitchers so well, I knew how they liked their coffee. You see, and a pitcher is a different breed of guy, athlete or baseball player. He's totally different than position players. When I say position players, I mean, that's a new term they've come up with, modern day term. position players, as if pitching is not position. But that means a catcher or an infielder or an outfielder. Every time there was a pitcher's meeting with the Dodgers staff, I would go and sit in with it. And I'd go sit in with the catchers when the catchers had meetings too. I wanted to know how they think. And also when I would go to the mound during the ball game to calm a pitcher down or let him know that I wanted to put a pickoff play on, or maybe just don't worry about the runner, I'll take care of him. You get the batter. I would run in there, and his pitchers, I'd see the eyes bulging, and they were sweating, and they were nervous, teeth chattering. I said, gee, these guys are afraid, they're scared. I said, if that's the case with my own staff, it must be with the other staff. And I learned that pitchers through my own pitching staff and of course from the opposing pitching staff, a lot of pitchers don't like to throw to a base on the 10 pickoff. They're afraid it might make a bad throw and the ball goes out into the outfield. And I learned about that, so I found out who those pitchers were. And it's just a little study, that's all. It's not about all speed. You got to have some kind of technique, and our campaign started with technique, but I developed the ability to study the pitcher. Every pitcher before a ball game warms up about 20 and some 25 minutes. I don't think many go as few as 15 minutes, but at least 20, maybe 25. And the pitcher will always go into a stretch position for the last 5 minutes of his warm-up period before a ball game. So instead of being in the clubhouse having that last piece of chicken or watching TV or having a pillow fight with my teammates, I'm joking when I say that, but they would be in there just relaxing. I would be out in the dugout looking at that pitcher warm up. And because he would always go in the stretch position in the last 5 minutes, and that's when I got my first look at his delivery and his move to get a reading on him. So when I got on base in the first inning, I didn't have to ask somebody or the first base coach or somebody before I went up to hit. Do anybody know this guy? Well, you got a good move? No, I already know. And I know them so well, as I said, I knew how they like their coffee. I knew who was afraid to throw to a base, who didn't like to throw to a base, who did like to throw to a base, and who would throw over there. And then I found keys on a movement of the shoulder, the head, the knee, the foot. It was simple. It was so easy.
I know Tommy Lasorda spent a lot of time eating in the clubhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, he got that habit. Another thing in being a good base stealer is, and being a good baseball player as well as a base runner and whatever, fielder, you have to eliminate the fear of failing. If you're out there and you're afraid to get picked off or you're afraid you're going to get thrown out, you're just hindering yourself. You have to eliminate that feeling. I had no fear. So, I mean, that's something you can develop. But eliminating the fear comes from having the knowledge of what that pitcher is going to do, and that helps you to eliminate it. You don't have to be smart to be a good baseball player. In fact, if you're too smart, you got a good chance of not being a good baseball player. You have to be a little dumb to be a good baseball player. You're too smart, you start analyzing everything everybody tells you, and you're asking questions. Well, why? Well, I don't want to do it. I've always done it this way. No, just do it, and it works.
Now, which pitcher gave you the most trouble with his move?
Well, writers always ask me when I was playing, who are the toughest pitchers? Who are the easiest? I would never say that. I wouldn't tell them who the toughest pitcher was because I didn't want that pitcher to read it and find out that I had that kind of regard for him. And I certainly wasn't going to say who the easiest was because now I'm going to make somebody mad, and he's going to go out and practice and work on developing his ability to keep me closer to the base, and so it's going to make it. I'm creating another adversary. But I guess after all these years, I can say to you, David, that the easiest. Did you say the easiest, or you asked me the toughest was Juan Marichal, and a pitcher named Larry Jackson.
Okay. Was there like a friendly competition between you two to see who would steal more bases?
No. But he inspired me to get more stolen bases, as many as I could too. I wanted to lead the league. I didn't want to lose, but I wanted to show him I was better. That's a normal thing. It was friendly competitiveness. Every time we played the Cardinals, nobody had to give me a pep talk because Lou Brock was on the other side, and I wanted to show Lou Brock what a real base stealer was all about. And that wasn't in a mean or vindictive way. It was just in a friendly, competitive way. Lou Brock and I are great buddies. He did call me and ask me when he was assaulting my record, when he broke my record of 104 stolen bases in 1 year, when he stole, I think, 109 or 10. He had about 6 to go, and he called me and said that his legs were hurting him, and they had picked him off a few times, thrown him out once or twice, and he was losing his confidence, and he asked me what he could do. And me being the type of person I am, I'm thinking, Lou Brock's breaking my record that is mine, that I want to keep, and he's asking me to tell him what he could do to further assault the record. And I said, Lou, why don't you ice your legs now? That's what I did when my legs started hurting me. Take off for a couple of days. Yeah, Lou Brock's, he's the best, along with Rick Anderson.
Now, you were a 3-sport star in high school. Any thoughts that maybe basketball or football should have been your sport instead of baseball?
Elliott, I had 9 scholarships to college in football. I went to a couple of campuses, and at the same time that I had the offer from the Dodgers, and I saw those big guys. I was like a little runt in the group, and I said, I just think that baseball would probably be my best shot. So I had a chance to play. I had Syracuse, Rutgers, some black schools like Virginia State University, Petersburg, Virginia. Football was a great love of mine. Yes.
What was your favorite moment in baseball?
Favorite moment? Well, I had so many. Gosh, it's like when I was at Dodger Stadium last night. The people just all over me. They acknowledged me as if I played yesterday. Even today, I'm going out to. I still work for them, and I'm going out to practice with the pitchers on sacrifice bunting, which is so important. You see, the Dodgers continue to emphasize those little things that win ball games, things that you don't get a $2 million raise. $2 million raise contract, for leading the league and sacrifice funding. You don't get a big $2 million raise for being the best base runner in the league. But the only thing those things do, bunting and base running, is win ball games. They don't get you the big contract, so many players don't emphasis on it, practice it. But the Dodgers still do. It's Dodger way of playing baseball. It was Al Campanis, getting back to Al Campanis. That was the title of his book.
What I don't get about base running, when you're on first base, you can get in the pitcher's head and affect the pitcher's pitching. Nowadays, these base runners, they don't steal anymore. They just stand there. Like these St. Louis Cardinals in the 80s would get in the pitcher's head and win by basically getting their head, stealing the bases, and you have the pitcher more worried about the base runner than the batter. Why aren't they doing that nowadays?
I don't know. You're absolutely right. The pitcher puts so much emphasis on that potential base stealer that before he knows it, he's behind in the count. Now he has to come in there with a fat pitch or something. I think it probably changed during the era when we started seeing all the home runs. So managers figure, heck, I'd rather have that guy keep still at the base, first base, for instance, and let somebody hit it out of the park and get a 2-run home run rather than risk him getting thrown out. So that changed the game. But I do believe the game is coming back to base stealing and base running.
Now, you have a son named Elliott, also better known to most fans as Bump. What was it like seeing your son play Major League Baseball?
Well, it was a joy. It still is. The only thing I wish could have happened for Bump was that the writers did not mention his dad's name so much. He went to Arizona State and he played under Bobby Winkles, who was a major league manager and also a fine baseball player himself. Bobby and I became friends when we were in the minor leagues playing against one another. And when Bump graduated from high school in Spokane, Washington, I called Bobby about my son and started to see if I could get him a scholarship. Bobby said, send him over, sight unseen. And the first game to put him in, as a freshman, he put him in a varsity game to run. And then later in the game, and 4,000 student fans started chanting, "Go, go, go!" And they changed Bump's whole approach to baseball. He didn't like it because he didn't want the comparison and didn't want to have to go through that. And he even went to the end of the bat when he could run. Good fielder, great arm, great baseball mind. Had a good career, but it could have been better. But he wanted to hit extra base hits because he didn't want to end up on first base and have people chanting "Go, go, go."
That's what they chanted for you, right? Go, go, Maury, go.
Oh yeah, yes. That was the chant. I'm trying to get that for our shortstop in Los Angeles today, D. Gordon. As soon as D. Gordon gets a few more games under his belt and he gets a little more stabilized out there, he's still just a young rookie, raw rookie. Dodger fans will be chanting "Go, go, 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 go" for him. Well, Bump didn't want that. And so he went to the end of the bat and he tried to hit the extra base hits, tried to hit the ball hard. And he played in that era where it was the beginning of the long ball. He and I stay in touch today. Life is good.
What do you make of the new ownership group with the Dodgers, with Magic Johnson and everybody?
Well, we don't see them. We're down in the dugout, in the clubhouse, and on the field, and they never come down there. The only time I got to see them was at the initial press conference a few weeks ago, which was at Dodger Stadium when it was announced, made official that they were the new owners. And I really enjoyed the press conference, and I think they're really motivated to put the Dodgers back on the level the Dodgers should be, a storied franchise. And but we never see them. When I go to the ballpark, I park in the players' parking lot, go to the clubhouse, get dressed, go on the field, do my job, which is my pleasure. Also, isn't that nice, your job, my job being my pleasure, my passion? And they pay me for it. And then get dressed and watch the game and critique the players on the work that I do with them, and I come home. I never see them. Every 1st and 15th, I get my paycheck from them, and everybody's happy.
You're probably making more money now than when you played.
Absolutely. I was MVP in 1962 in the National League, MVP in the All-Star game in 1962. In 1962, I won the Hickok Award. I beat Arnold Palmer out by 1 or 2 votes for the #1 professional athlete in the world. So I said, wow, man, I got him now. I'll go in. And the Dodgers drew 2.5 million, and at that time, teams were happy with 1 million fans for the year. And I went in to get a raise, and all I wanted, I thought maybe I could get a new car. All I wanted was a Ford station wagon. And I came out of the office in 10 minutes happy I was still on the team. That's the way it was in those days. We didn't have any representation, and so we had to sit down at a table across from a person who had 40 years of negotiating, and we were just dumb baseball players.
Right.
And, yeah, I do. But you see, I've learned that life is not all about how much money you make anyhow. It's an inside job, and I'm happy and grateful, and I think gratitude is a great thing to have. And we all feel like we underpaid. You are too. So is Elliott.
What I don't get is why you're not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Ozzie Smith's in the Hall of Fame, and you did a lot more than he did.
Yeah, I know. For a long time, I used to agonize over that. I even started drinking over it. But I'm on the other side of that today. I'm contented with that. And as I said, I'm grateful. I guess I got out of my gratitude, and that's when I started my spiraling. Even got into alcoholism over it. I'm happy to say 23 years today. Clean, sober, living life on life terms, helping other young men with their emotional problems here in the Los Angeles area, basically. And why am I in the, if I go in the Hall of Fame, fine. If I don't, I hope they don't do me like they did Ron Santo. They wait for Ronnie to die, and then they put him in. Gee, so the Dodgers have a hallway in Los Angeles at the ballpark at Dodger Stadium. All the retired Hall of Fame numbers, jerseys are encased. There's a nice shrine, and they have one empty one. And that empty one is for Maury Wills. I hope they don't wait for me to die before they put me in. But I would like to enjoy it for a year and have my children, too, and my fans. But now, why'd you have to bring that up?
We'll end on a happy note. I think the Dodgers are going to go to the World Series this year and get you another ring.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. Whoa, I love the attempt.
That would be, yeah, I'd like to. Well, that would be an accomplishment. Don Mattingly is a fine manager. Gee whiz, he had no managerial experience when he came last year. He did a fantastic job last season, and he's just tremendous right now. He's Hall of Fame manager. The way he works with those players, he's got their confidence, their love, their obedience. They just go out there and play their hearts out for him.
Let's get right to our next guest after the break, Elliott. He was a Hall of Fame player, great coach. He won a championship with the 76ers. He owned the Miami Heat. When we come back, we'll have Billy Cunningham at. Stay tuned.